Imagine for a moment the world finally at peace. Not a fragile truce, but a profound, lasting calm. The news cycles, once choked with conflict, now sing of unity. Ancient feuds are resolved, economic divides are bridged, and a digital tapestry of interconnectedness promises a new golden age for humanity. You feel the collective sigh of relief, the hope that washes over nations, a promise of security unlike anything we've ever known. It sounds like the answer to every prayer, doesn't it? But what if this shimmering vision, this grand symphony of global harmony, is the very snare the prophets warned us about? What if the true danger isn't the monstrous tyrant we've been conditioned to expect, but a master of consensus, a builder of bridges, who arrives not with fire and brimstone, but with the olive branch of universal acceptance? This isn't just a hypothetical scenario. It's the chilling reality echoing through Daniel's prophetic visions and Revelation's warnings. The central thesis we will explore today is this: the Antichrist will not emerge as an obvious villain, but as the architect of a deceptive global peace, leveraging humanity's desperate longing for unity to introduce a new world order that subtly replaces divine authority with his own, culminating in an inescapable system of control. This isn't a far-off fantasy. The foundations are being laid right now, making discernment not merely an academic pursuit, but a matter of spiritual survival for every Christian in America and beyond. The pressure to conform will be immense, a soft coercion woven into the fabric of daily life, from the digital IDs required for travel or accessing essential services, to the cashless transactions that dictate our daily commerce, to the very narratives shaping our understanding of truth. But with understanding, you gain an impenetrable shield of discernment, capable of navigating these treacherous waters, preserving your faith, and standing firm in a turbulent world. Our journey will unveil the unity threshold, a critical tipping point where the global pursuit of peace, security, and technological integration converges to create the perfect environment for this figure's rise. This isn't about fear-mongering. It's about preparedness. We'll unpack 3 core deceptions he will employ, revealing how his message of peace will cleverly mask a deeper agenda. We'll examine 5 critical indicators visible in our current geopolitical landscape, economic systems, and technological advancements that signal our proximity to this threshold. This isn't about fear-mongering. It's about preparedness. It's about equipping you, not with panic, but with precision. Because the true danger isn't the monstrous tyrant we've been conditioned to expect, but a master of consensus, a builder of bridges, who arrives not with fire and brimstone, but with the olive branch of universal acceptance. This is the chilling reality echoing through ancient prophecies, a reality that demands our focused attention, not our fear. We are not here to predict doom, but to understand the precise mechanisms of deception, to build an impenetrable shield of discernment. Now, let's peel back the layers on the first of these 3 core deceptions he will employ. The Antichrist will not simply offer peace. He will present it as the only logical solution to humanity's most intractable problems. Think about the headlines you see every day. Geopolitical tensions escalating in Eastern Europe or the South China Sea. Economic instability threatening livelihoods from Wall Street to Main Street. And a pervasive sense of social fragmentation that leaves communities feeling isolated and vulnerable. Into this chaos steps a figure offering a grand bargain: global unity for global security. He will promise to end wars, to stabilize markets with innovative new systems, to heal societal divides with inclusive rhetoric. But here's the crucial twist: the inversion of culpability. This peace will demand a surrender, not of weapons, but of individual sovereignty and traditional allegiances. It's a peace that subtly replaces divine authority with his own, a system where the collective good, as defined by him, becomes the ultimate arbiter of truth and freedom, echoing the very temptation presented in Eden. And how will this grand bargain be facilitated? Through the very fabric of our modern world, we're witnessing the laying of foundations right now. Consider the first of our 5 critical indicators, the relentless push for global governance structures. We see it in the increasing power of international bodies, the calls for unified responses to global challenges like pandemics or climate change, and the subtle erosion of national borders in the name of collective security. Think about the discussions around a global digital ID system or a universal framework for online speech that promises to combat misinformation but could easily silence dissent. These aren't just bureaucratic aspirations. They are threads weaving a tapestry that prepares the way for a centralized authority, an authority that promises order but demands conformity. But what does this mean for your daily life? And how will it impact your ability to discern the subtle shifts? Hold on to that thought, because the next deception reveals an even more insidious trap, one that targets your very understanding of prosperity and justice. That question about your daily life, about your finances, about your security, leads us directly to the second critical indicator, the strategic redefinition of prosperity and justice through a centralized global economic system. Imagine for a moment the quiet desperation that grips families across America right now. The rising cost of living, the relentless inflation eroding paychecks, the fear of a sudden job loss that could send everything spiraling. You've seen it, you've felt it. The gnawing. He will champion a new paradigm, perhaps a universal digital currency, or a global economic reset designed to eradicate poverty and bridge the chasms of wealth inequality. He'll speak of economic peace, of fairness for all, of a system where every transaction is transparent and every citizen is guaranteed a baseline of security. Think of the allure, a world where no one goes hungry, where financial crises are a relic of the past, where the very concept of economic injustice is systematically dismantled. This isn't just theory, it's already in motion. Major central banks, including our own Federal Reserve, are actively exploring central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs. This isn't just about convenience, it's about control. Consider how seamlessly our lives are already integrated with digital payments, from Venmo to Apple Pay. Now, imagine a system where all currency is digital, programmable, and entirely traceable. A system that promises to stabilize economies, prevent fraud, and even deliver targeted aid during emergencies. It sounds like a dream, right? A pathway to unprecedented financial peace and equity. But here's the crucial detail. This same system could, with a flick of a digital switch, be used to enforce compliance, to reward conformity, and to subtly, yet undeniably, dictate behavior. If your access to basic necessities, to your very livelihood, becomes contingent on adherence to a specific set of global norms, what then? Where does individual freedom go? This isn't about blaming the desire for economic stability itself. It's about understanding how that innate human longing can be weaponized. The true culprit isn't your wish for a better life, but the deceptive mechanism that offers it at the cost of your sovereignty. And here everything turns, because as we look at the third indicator, we'll see how this push for economic peace intertwines with something even more fundamental. The very source of truth and morality in our world. The very source of truth and morality in our world. Think about it, in a nation like ours, built on foundational principles of individual conscience and freedom of belief, we are increasingly witnessing a subtle yet pervasive pressure to redefine what is universally good, what is acceptable, and what constitutes peaceful coexistence. The Antichrist will not merely offer economic stability, he will present a new moral framework, a seemingly enlightened path forward that promises to transcend the outdated and divisive dogmas of the past. He will argue that true peace can only be achieved by shedding the very beliefs that, in his narrative, have fueled conflict for millennia. This isn't about blaming your personal desire for a more harmonious society. It's about recognizing the insidious way that longing can be exploited. The deception here is profound. It suggests that our deeply held convictions, particularly those rooted in biblical truth, are obstacles to global unity. Imagine a world where traditional religious doctrines are subtly, then overtly, labeled as sources of intolerance, as barriers to the collective good. This figure will champion a universal ethic, a grand narrative of human solidarity that on the surface appears noble and inclusive. He'll speak of shared values, of a common destiny, of finally moving beyond the petty squabbles that have plagued humanity. But here's the critical pivot, the moment you must discern with unwavering clarity. This proposed peace will demand a compromise on absolute truth. It will ask you to trade the unchanging bedrock of divine revelation for a shifting sand of popular consensus, all in the name of global harmony. It's a peace that requires you to silence your conscience, to redefine right and wrong according to a new, secular, and ultimately human-centric authority. This isn't just a philosophical debate, it's a spiritual battle for the very soul of humanity. And the pressure will be immense. You'll see it in the media, hear it from influential voices, feel it in the subtle shifts of societal norms. The narrative will be clear. If you cling to old truths, you are part of the problem. If you resist the new, unifying vision, you are an agent of discord. This is the third core deception taking root. The Antichrist's peace will promise stability by dismantling the divine foundations of truth, replacing them with his own manufactured morality. He will offer a world free from conflict, but at the cost of your spiritual sovereignty, at the cost of your allegiance to the one true God. Now, consider the implications of this. If the very definition of good and evil, of right and wrong, becomes subject to a single, global authority, what then becomes of individual freedom? What becomes of the ability to speak truth to power when power itself dictates what truth is? This is the chilling reality we must confront. Because as we move forward, we will see how these three deceptions, economic stability, universal acceptance, and redefined truth, are not isolated threads, but intricately woven into a single, inescapable tapestry of control. And in a moment, we'll explore the specific indicators that show this tapestry is already being unfurled. Right before our eyes, you see, the first critical indicator, the one already reshaping our daily lives, is the relentless march towards global digital identity schemes intertwined with central bank digital currencies. Think about it. Your entire existence, your identity, your health records, your financial transactions, all consolidated into a single, immutable digital profile. This isn't some far-off science fiction fantasy. It's the stated goal of numerous international bodies and powerful tech consortia, often framed as the ultimate solution for efficiency, security, and unparalleled convenience. Consider the recent global push for digital health credentials, which conditioned millions to accept a digital gatekeeper for basic freedoms like travel or even dining out. Or look at the accelerating development of central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs, by central banks worldwide, from the Federal Reserve's active exploration of a digital dollar to experimental projects already live in countries across Europe and Asia. The promise is always the same: seamless transactions, instant payments, and an end to financial fraud. But pause for a moment and consider the hidden cost, the silent exchange you're asked to make. Imagine trying to buy groceries, pay your rent, or even access public transportation without this unified digital ID. What if your transactions aren't just monitored, but filtered, or even blocked, based on behaviors deemed undesirable by a centralized authority? This isn't the plot of a Hollywood thriller. This is the chilling reality being engineered right now, meticulously under the guise of progress. The technology exists, the infrastructure is being built, and the public, desperate for stability and ease in a chaotic world, is being subtly conditioned to accept it. This is the soft coercion we spoke of, not with a boot on your neck, but woven into the very fabric of daily life. It's a system where access to the essentials becomes contingent upon compliance. A quiet revolution that promises security and peace, but in fact delivers an unprecedented level of control, laying the groundwork for a leader who can leverage this power. And this brings us to the second critical indicator, one that amplifies the reach of this digital dominion: into every corner of your personal space, blurring the lines between public oversight and private thought. We are just scratching the surface of how peace can be weaponized. The second critical indicator, often overlooked in our rush towards convenience, is the pervasive predictive panopticon. Think about it. Every tap, every click, every search, every interaction you have online leaves a digital footprint. In America, we've become accustomed to trading privacy for personalized experiences, for social connection, for the illusion of choice. But what if this data, this intricate tapestry of your preferences, beliefs, and even your unspoken anxieties, isn't just being used to sell you products? What if it's being compiled, analyzed, and leveraged to predict your behavior, to subtly nudge your decisions, and ultimately to shape your very understanding of reality? This isn't just about surveillance in the traditional sense, where someone is monitoring your actions. It's far more insidious. Imagine a system where your access to information is filtered, not by what you seek, but by what an algorithm determines you should see, based on your digital profile. What if certain viewpoints, certain inconvenient truths, are quietly suppressed, made harder to find, or even outright blocked from your feed, your search results, your digital sphere? This isn't theoretical. We've seen glimpses of it in content moderation policies, in the deplatforming debates, in the struggle for free speech on major tech platforms. But picture this on a global scale, unified under a... It doesn't need to silence dissent with force. It can simply make dissenting voices inaudible, unfindable, irrelevant within the digital echo chambers it constructs around you. This is how the Antichrist's deceptive peace operates. Not through overt tyranny at first, but through a slow, almost imperceptible erosion of your autonomy, convincing you that sacrificing freedom for stability is a fair exchange. This is the very essence of the strong delusion Scripture warns about, a world so thoroughly conditioned to embrace a manufactured reality that genuine truth becomes an outlier, a threat to the carefully constructed global peace. And this leads us to the third core deception, one that will leverage humanity's deepest spiritual yearnings against itself. This third deception, perhaps the most subtle and therefore the most potent, is the spiritual seduction. Imagine a world weary of religious strife, a world that has witnessed centuries of conflict fueled by dogmatic differences, from the Crusades to modern sectarian violence. The global narrative, carefully curated, will champion a new era of spiritual unity, a grand tapestry where all paths converge towards a universal truth. You'll hear it whispered in interfaith dialogues, echoed in humanitarian movements, and amplified by influential voices across media and academia. The idea that true peace can only be achieved when we transcend our narrow doctrines and embrace a shared consciousness, a common spiritual ground. This isn't about outright atheism. It's far more cunning. It's about a spiritual syncretism, a blending that appears inclusive and benevolent, yet subtly dilutes and ultimately displaces the exclusive truth of Christ. For many, especially here in the United States, where spiritual exploration is often prized above doctrinal adherence, this message will resonate deeply. The longing for connection, for purpose, for a higher meaning beyond the material, is a fundamental human drive. And the Antichrist will expertly tap into this, offering a spiritual framework that promises enlightenment and harmony without the perceived divisiveness of biblical Christianity. This is where the strong delusion truly takes hold. It's not just that people are tricked, it's that they are conditioned to desire the deception. They become eager participants in their own spiritual captivity, believing they are evolving, progressing, reaching a higher state of consciousness. Think of the widespread appeal of self-help gurus promising inner peace through universal principles, or the cultural embrace of practices that blur the lines between ancient wisdom and modern spirituality. The Antichrist's message will be the ultimate culmination of this trend, a unifying spiritual vision so compelling, so seemingly logical and beneficial for global peace, that to reject it would be seen as an act of bigotry, of clinging to outdated, divisive beliefs. And here's the chilling reality. This isn't a fringe movement. We are already seeing the foundations of this spiritual synthesis being laid. Consider the growing push for a one-world religion, or at least a universal spiritual ethic, often framed as essential for environmental sustainability or global human rights. You see it in the calls for unity that bypass fundamental theological differences, prioritizing superficial agreement over biblical truth. This isn't just an academic debate. It's a cultural current shaping policies, influencing education, and subtly preparing hearts to accept a spiritual leader who promises to unify humanity under a banner of peace. The pressure to conform to this new spiritual paradigm will be immense, woven into the very fabric of society. Imagine a world where your access to certain social circles, professional opportunities, or even digital services is subtly tied to your adherence to this new, inclusive, spiritual ethos. This isn't about overt persecution initially. It's a soft coercion, a societal expectation that you will abandon divisive truths for the sake of the greater good, for the sake of global peace. And here is where we must pause, because understanding this mechanism is your first line of defense. The discerning checklist for deceptive peace is a crucial tool we've prepared to help you navigate these treacherous waters, to identify the subtle cues that reveal the wolf in sheep's clothing. This isn't just theory, it's about practical survival. The discerning checklist for deceptive peace is available right now in the first link in the description and the pinned comment. Download it today and start applying it immediately. Now, with these 3 core deceptions laid bare, the manufactured reality, the political pacification, and the spiritual seduction, you begin to see the true power of the strong delusion. It's a multi-layered attack designed to disorient, to pacify, and ultimately to capture the human spirit. But how exactly will this grand deception unfold on a global stage? How will the Antichrist transition from a charismatic leader to a figure demanding ultimate allegiance? We must now turn our attention to the 5 critical indicators visible in our world today. Those undeniable signals that we are rapidly approaching the unity threshold. And as we stand at the precipice of this unity threshold, having laid bare the 5 critical indicators, you now possess the clarity to see the true nature of the strong delusion. It's a masterwork of deception, subtly woven into the very fabric of our global aspirations for peace and security. The Antichrist will not come as a roaring lion, but as a shepherd offering solace, his words of unity masking the ultimate agenda of control. This isn't about fear, it's about spiritual vigilance. You are now equipped, not with theories, but with the profound understanding to navigate these treacherous waters. The mental map of his strategy, the detailed timeline of prophetic events, and the discerning checklist to recognize his subtle appeals to peace. These are your shields. They are your anchors in a world desperate for a false sense of security. The discernment blueprint is available now. Download it from the first link in the description or the pinned comment. Apply it today. This journey has transformed you from a passive observer into a sentinel, ready to stand firm. If you've stayed with us through this entire profound exploration, you are part of this vital community. Click on the next episode, because there I will unveil the 3 unspoken truths behind the global push for a cashless society and how they directly pave the way for his final system of control.